Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hello students and viewers out there. You are most welcome to yet another session of e-learning on the subject Christian Religious Studies. Our topic of discussion today is Joseph's life in the prison and his reasons of being in the palace. You get this story in the Bible and is found in the book of Genesis chapter 41 from verse 1 to 57. Today we are continuing the life of Joseph, and we are looking at him when he found himself in the prison and in the palace. And today, Joseph, as we've already studied, was equipped by God from childhood with the power of dream interpretation. You all know that Joseph was a dreamer. He, Joseph, was put into prison because of Potiphar's wife, who lied against him. Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph to lie with her, and Joseph refused that he can never sin against God and against his master. So while in prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams of the chief butler and the chief baker. Now, Joseph refused to lie down with Potiphar's wife, and when the husband came back, the story was narrated to him by his wife. Joseph was straight taken to prison. In the prison, there were two officials of Pharaoh who offended Pharaoh, and they were thrown into prison. And they were the chief baker and the chief butler. Now, as they were living in the prison, these two officials dreamt. Now, when they woke up the following day, they were worried. they couldn't understand the meaning of the dream. So by the time Joseph saw them and saw their countenance, he wanted to know what was it. And they told him that they had terrible dreams last night and they don't know the meaning. Joseph told them to narrate their dreams. And as they did, Joseph told the chief baker that in 3 days' time, you are going to get out of this place, that is the prison, but you'll be executed. On the side of the chief butler, Joseph told him that the meaning of his dream was that he was going to go out within 3 days, but his position would be restored back to him. And it happened exactly. But by the time they were going out of the prison, Joseph told them that they should please remember him before Pharaoh, because he knew he didn't commit any sin, yet he was in prison. Now, while Joseph was in the prison, Joseph was moved out of the prison. Why was he taken out of the prison? You know, the chief baker was executed. So as time went on, the king himself, that was Pharaoh, he had his 2 dreams and could not interpret the dreams. He couldn't understand the meaning of the dreams. So what he did was that he invited all the magicians in his kingdom to come and tell him the meaning of these dreams. But when these people came, none of the interpretations pleased Pharaoh. That was when the chief butler now remembered Joseph, and it was after 2 years. So by the time Joseph came and appeared before the king, you know he was going to appear before the number 1 of Egypt. So he removed his prison clothes, shaved his beard, and appeared before the king. Now can you see now the 3rd P? Now we are going to the last P, which is the palace. Now, when Joseph appeared before Pharaoh, Pharaoh said, I learned you can interpret dreams. Joseph said, no, it is not me, but God. So, from this prison, Joseph was taken to the palace to interpret the dreams of Pharaoh. This was because of the chief butler who remembered him after 2 good years of his freedom. Joseph did not only interpret the dreams. And what was the king's dream? What was Pharaoh's dream? Pharaoh dreamed that he saw 7 fat cows by the Nile and 7 thin ones. The thin ones ate up the 7 fat cows. Again, the king again dreamed that same night that he saw 7 fat or plump ears of grains and 7 thin ones. These thin ones swallowed the fat ones. Pharaoh was not at his peace. He was disturbed. He felt there must be a meaning to these dreams. So, Joseph was now brought out to interpret the dreams. Now, by the time Joseph interpreted the dreams, he made a suggestion. What did he suggest to the king? He told the king that he should be able to look around in Egypt and choose somebody that is wise enough, because there was going to be trouble for the land. Now, what was the meaning of these dreams? The dreams that Joseph interpreted was that those 7 fat cows represent 7 good years, 7 years of bountiful harvest. That means people were going to farm and they were going to harvest bountifully. Then the 7 thin cows and the 7 thin heads of corn represent another 7 years. But this time around, these 7 years of the thin cows represent 7 years of severe famine. Hunger was going to affect the land. So Joseph advised the king. Now, by the time he suggested that the king should choose somebody that was that would be very wise to help him look after these years, the king felt it was Joseph that fitted the position. And so Joseph was immediately taken round the land of Egypt to be introduced to the people of Egypt that he was now second in command. So that was how Joseph landed in the palace. Now, as a result of his suggestion and the wisdom embedded therein, Joseph was appointed by Pharaoh as the overseer of the storage of food in Egypt and the second in command to Pharaoh. Now, what did Joseph do during the 7 years of bountiful harvest? Joseph told the Egyptians to bring all that they were harvesting, keep the ones they will use, and bring the remaining to the store. He built a very big warehouse that he can be storing this food. And he stored the food, since he was appointed by Pharaoh to be the overseer of food storage in Egypt. So, in those 7 bountiful years of harvest, the children of Israel stored enough. So when the 7 years of famine came, Joseph sold food to the Egyptians and the entire world as at that time, because of the severe famine that had greatly affected the people. Everybody was affected, and there was no any other place to get food except in the land of Egypt. Now, Joseph's new name and the meaning of his son's name. Now, Joseph was so loyal, was so good, so much that he married in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh renamed Joseph because Joseph was so loyal to him. He loved Joseph. So he renamed him as Zephanath-Paneah. And Joseph got married, gave birth to 2 sons, and one of the sons, the name was Manasseh, meaning God had made me forget all my hardship and all my father's house. If you remember the story of Joseph, he left home since at the age of 17 or so. Now, the second son was Ephraim, meaning God had made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. He didn't find it easy in Egypt, yet he became successful. Now, having looked at the life of Joseph from the prison to the palace, as time went on, the brothers of Joseph were seriously affected with this famine. So what happened? And that is taking us to Joseph reconciling with his brothers. And that story is found in the book of Genesis, chapter 45, from verse 1 to 15. Now, the children of Jacob, or Israel, please remember that another name for Jacob was Israel. So these two. So these children and their families were affected by the famine, and they had to go to Egypt to buy food. When their father saw the suffering, he said, "You have to go to Egypt to buy food. If not, we will all die." So Joseph's brothers went to Egypt. Now, by the time Joseph's brothers went to Egypt, Jacob was able to recognize his brothers, and he even addressed them as spies. He looked at them, said, "Is your father alive?" They said, "Yes." "How many of you in the family?" They said they were 12, but one was dead. Without knowing that they were talking to Joseph, that they meant one had died. So Joseph sold the food to them and even returned back their money. He recognized them as his brothers, but he became so loyal to them, so good to them. In fact, by the time he even asked them all the history of the family, he detained them for 3 days to see what would be their reaction. But at the end of it, he gave them the food, returned back their money, and they went back home. They narrated the story, but before they went back for the second time, Joseph told them that that one that is left at home, you have to come back to Egypt with him. And that one was Benjamin, the same womb with Joseph. So the brothers of Joseph told him that their father will not release him. He should please pardon them, because one of them that had died, the father would not like to release this one because he doesn't know what will become of this one. So they told Joseph that he should please help them. So in one of Joseph's brothers' trip to buy food, Joseph could no longer control himself and therefore sent everyone away except his brothers. Now you tend to see that the brothers went again. There was this time that when they went, Joseph instructed his servants that they should insert his cup, his silver cup, in Benjamin's sack of grain. That was the time they took Benjamin to Egypt to buy another food, to buy food again. So he told them to insert his silver cup. So they inserted it in Benjamin's sack of grain. And by the time they have gone a little bit far, the servants of Joseph ran after the brothers of Joseph and accused them of theft. When they came back, they said, "We've never done that kind of a thing in our life." And Joseph said they should search. When they searched all their bags, the silver cup was found in Benjamin's sack of grain. And the punishment for whoever that this silver cup will be found in his sack of grain will have to go back to Egypt and serve as a slave. And behold, it was Benjamin. So the brothers now have to go back to Egypt in order to defend themselves. So as they went, Joseph at this time was ready to identify himself, tell them that he was Joseph, his brother. So he even organized a banquet for them. And Joseph disclosed his identity to his brothers, that he was the one they sold to Egypt. But he made them understand that they were not the ones that took him to Egypt, but God. You know, God knows everything about us. He was into the business of bringing Joseph to a level that Joseph least expected in his life. So the brothers of Joseph were asked to go and tell their father that he was still alive and we want the whole family to come and stay in Egypt. Now, at this point in time, the famine period, they've spent just 2 years, and we find out that they still have 5 good years to come. And how can they keep coming to Egypt to buy food? So Joseph told them that they should go and tell their father that he was alive, and that when they come and they are asked which part of Egypt they want to stay, they should say the land of Goshen. And that was where they were given to stay with their cattle. So Jacob became convinced that Joseph was still alive, that he will see Joseph before he dies. The father of Joseph was so excited because he was going to see his son again before he even dies. Now, in all that we have discussed about Joseph, you know, in our first lesson, I gave us a formula that Joseph had 4 P's in his life. P1 means pit. You should be able to know the reasons why Joseph was thrown into the pit. And what were those reasons? Joseph was loved by his father. Joseph was given a beautiful coat by his father with many colors. Joseph was always reporting his brothers to their father. And Joseph was a dreamer. So these 4 points made the brothers of Joseph to hate him and they went to the extent of throwing him into the pit. Now, the second P that we discussed, we said when these caravan traders bought Joseph at the rate of 20 shekels of silver, on reaching Egypt, they resold Joseph to Potiphar. That is the second P. And in Potiphar's house, Joseph did not do anything. Because of Joseph in the house of Potiphar, Potiphar was even progressing. He was seeing the blessings, and he knew it was because of Joseph. But the wife wanted Joseph to sin against his master and God, and he refused. And that was why, when the story was narrated to Potiphar, Joseph was taken straight to prison. Now, in prison, which is the third P, Joseph was there with other prisoners. The officials of the king, 2 of them were equally in prison, and Joseph, who was there with them, these people dreamt, they were confused, they were so mad about it, they didn't know what was becoming of them. And so, when Joseph saw their sad situation, what did he do? He helped in interpreting their dreams. And all that Joseph told them came out exactly. And the chief butler, who remembered Joseph after 2 years, told the king when he had his own dreams that there was a man in the prison. So that was how Joseph left the prison to the palace. And in the palace, we remember the activities Joseph did, the dreams. He acted well. He preserved food for the Egyptians, and not only for the Egyptians, for the world as at that time. And it was only in Egypt that you can find food. And at the end of it, the brothers, the father, and all the family went back to Egypt to stay. And the whole family, that means the brothers of Joseph, their children, their slaves, and what have you, were up to 70. So 70 Israelites were the ones that first settled in Egypt through Joseph. So, before I step down, I have an assignment for you. Even as you stay at home, you should be able to do this assignment in order to keep yourselves busy. Now, already we have the text or the references that you can read in order to find the answers to these assignments. 1, narrate the dreams of Pharaoh. You are narrating the dreams of Pharaoh, not Joseph. Number 2, in what 3 ways did the interpretation of the dreams affect Joseph and his people? You know, it was because of the interpretation of the dream that took Joseph to the palace. So, you have to tell us what made the brothers, or what affected the family of Joseph. Number 3, explain how Joseph reconciled with his brothers. Don't go to tell me the whole story about Joseph. Just explain how Joseph reconciled with his brothers. Then the last question we have, what 2 lessons can be learned from the episode? Narrate the dreams of Pharaoh. The next one, in what 3 ways did the interpretation of the dreams affect Joseph and his people? Thirdly, explain how Joseph reconciled with his brothers. And lastly, what 2 lessons can be learned from the episode? In case you want to reach me for more explanation, my name is Asebe David Ndagjana, and my contact is 08077251542. I take it up again. My name is Asebe David Ndagjana, and my contact is 08077251542. Remain blessed, stay home, COVID-19 is real. I wish you the best till we meet in the next class. God bless.